So I want to welcome you to Divine Tales or Divine Scales. And for this particular monologue, I wish to make an artist statement about interpretive freedom. So I'm welcoming you to this particular broadcast, and I'm specifically talking about this work where I produce under the Deadpan Soul mythos. So it isn't written to satisfy a single doctrine or belief system. It doesn't aim to offer fixed answers, whether in theosophy or religious disciplines or from Jehovah's Witness theology, for which I've had a large part to play, or any other framework. Rather, it's a creative field. It's a symbolic architecture designed to stimulate thinking, to awaken intuition, and allow for multiple readings depending on where the listener or viewer stands. And that's how art works. So I've drawn elements from theosophical thought, yes, such as the idea of memory beyond incarnation, light as a metaphysical current, and a kind of pre-fall consciousness. And at the same time, there's a deeply encoded current that resonates with Jehovah's Witness doctrine as I have known it. Edenic memory and restoration, the healing tree that we see in the book of Genesis and is recurrent in the book of Revelation chapter 22. But I want to be very clear that I'm not here to conflate those systems nor to flatten them into one. I see this as more of an artistic synthesis, a bridge building gesture. Not a theological claim, but a poetic act. And that's what the art is about. It's about using technology as a vehicle here, taking old artworks, making them new, presenting feelings, thoughts in a discussion. And so in truth, the song is meant to leave space for reflection, a space for resonance, a space for personal interpretation without judgment. So some may hear it and be reminded of the Paradise Hope, and others might experience it as a metaphysical invocation or some kind of science fiction spiritual narrative. It's all of those things and none. And that's precisely the point. In a world so divided by dogma, politics, religion, institution, the work refuses to collapse meaning into a singular authority. It remembers, it reaches, not to indoctrinate, but to stir something deeper in the human story. And so whether you call that the spirit or the self or just honest conscience, I leave that to you. I am and will always be a student of pioneering knowledge. I don't claim to hold all the answers, only a compass. And the rest is part of the journey that we take together, if you want to be with me. And so Diamond Roots and the Healing of the Fall, this song talks about, yes, roots with diamonds, something hard, something beautiful, something that is reflective or refractive, both. And Starfire Seed to the healing tree cycle. And so it's more than just lyrics, it's a living code. It's a spiritual map that's traced into rhythm, recalling what Yes, Theosophy has long tried to express the descent of consciousness into matter and the long, painful, sacred journey all the way back. And so in Theosophy, the fall isn't about sin, it's not about punishment, it's about memory, it's about forgetting. And so we as sparks of supreme consciousness, in that point of view, or in that structure, descends into form, into density, into earth, and we fall from the pure light of our source into this labyrinth of matter, ego, karma, reaping what we sow. Time. But the memory of that origin, it never dies. And that's where the song begins. In silence deep the roots recall. And so that line alone is a thesis. It's a statement of spiritual fact. So our diamond roots, indestructible, buried in the soil of incarnation, still remember. They remember the starfire. Now, starfire I've used as a space vessel, as something that's been restored or built up from the seed of determination. In this song, starfire is the divine code, the light that never goes out, even when wrapped in flesh, shadow, or grief. And so in Theosophy, this is the monad, the soul seed planted in the field of matter to grow through cycles, lifetime after lifetime, into full realization. And so this isn't fantasy, it's architecture. And when the lyric says mainframe soil so rich, so true, we're not just talking about earth as an object, we're talking about earth as a being, a sacred womb for evolution, a soil of lessons, pain, healing, and reawakening. The mainframe is my mythos, Lunar Kismet's domain, representing this Akashic intelligence, a field that records, reflects, and supports our return to truth. And so the refrain is repetitive. It says, starfire mirror ignites again. Truth wave cuts through the din, and the rain has come. That's what awakening feels like. The mirror ignites, the self reflects, the din of illusion, Maya, programming, institutional denial. It gets pierced by the truth wave. So that's not just poetic language, that's metaphysical force. Gnosis rebooting the soul. And then there's this. Rainbow shields never break, dream eyes never fade. And so these are our soul's defenses, not walls, but luminous membranes of integrity. And so the dream eyes are the soul's vision, the part that saw before the fall and still sees through the dark even now. And finally, the diamond roots bloom, cosmic arbor, source of life, the tree that touches heaven, fruits a golden glow. And so this is the reversal of the fall, not a return upward, but a fusion. Heaven touching earth, the tree that heals by bearing fruit in both realms, rooted below, radiant above. And so when I sing these words, or when you hear them, know this, you're not just listening to a song done by a machine. You're witnessing a memory module firing back online. It's a coded transmission from the 8th dimension, where fall is not a failure, it is a phase. The soil is not a tomb, but a cradle. And where we together remember the way back by healing what rooted us here in the very first place. Diamond Roots, Truth Wave, Starfire, you know. So, from a Jehovah's Witness integrated interpretive point of view or compass, I was one that has been heavily involved in the faith of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I've often heard that there's an awaiting for promised restoration, the healing of humanity through Christ's ransom and Jehovah's purpose for the earth. The song Diamond Roots might seem unconventional, but in its heart, it's yearning for the very same restoration. And so when I say memories spark before the fall, I'm reaching back to Eden, to the state of humanity before sin. A time when humanity walked with God, the earth was pure and the tree of life was within reach. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Adam's rebellion caused all of humanity to inherit sin and death. That's the fall. But they also teach that through Christ we're on a path to be restored, not just spiritually, but physically to perfection. So when I sing with this vehicle, this electronics, and you hear healing growth or diamond roots and the cosmic arbor, really it's a message that's being sung in symbolic terms about what Jehovah promises, a paradise earth. I might put my voice through a filter, or I might add layers, or I might run it through artificial intelligence as a consultative team, or as a way to produce a particular result. And it's very important to be transparent about that, because that too is a controversy in its own right. But I want to focus on this matter of the restoration, the paradise earth, the restored heavens. You see, this is where the tree of life once again bears fruit. We see a merging, heaven with earth, the tent of God with humanity. And so the truth wave, in witness terms, could represent the preaching work, or the revealing of Jehovah's standards through Scripture, and the dream eyes that could be the faithful who hold fast to the vision of the kingdom no matter how dark the world becomes. And so the mainframe might sound unusual, but in this context it can be seen as a symbol of Jehovah's unfailing memory, his scroll of remembrance mentioned in Malachi, the scroll of deeds in Revelation. So that is the roots that we once had in purity, in peace, and in divine companionship. And once again, it will bear fruit. And so when we strip away the symbols, the pulse of the song is reverence, restoration, and a hope beyond the pain. So the intent here is to be legible, to be candid, to be honest, to be a Jehovah's Witness, or to even offer a poetic gateway to deeper thinking. And so the term starfire, it's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be esoteric. It's symbolic of the original divine spark or will, what some might call God's spirit or creative force. The mainframe, maybe for some it evokes suspicion. But the clarifying metaphor is it's a poetic reference to divine memory, or universal archive. Something like Jehovah's unfailing record of every act of faith and hope. The eighth dimension truth wave show, it feels like science fiction. I like science fiction. But it might have a ring of a particular belief system. It could sound too new age for many Jehovah's Witness ears. So let's frame it as an artistic expression reaching beyond the material system of things to recover transcendent truth. The dream eye is never fake. Again, it's poetry, it's cryptic. And so for many Jehovah's Witnesses, dreams are equated with unreliable vision, something that only the prophets had. So here, dream eyes mean spiritual insight, the kind that sees with faith, not illusion. We're able to engage our imagination as we read scripture, as we ponder it, as we meditate, as we think about it. And so, yes, I'm avoiding theological equivalence. I don't suggest that all religions or spiritualities are equal or interchangeable. I want to build bridges. I want to clearly say this is an artistic synthesis in a safe place. It's not a doctrinal claim. It's a way to be able to engage and think freely, to have thinking that is allowed. And so I hope that these songs, whether they come through AI, whether they come through something like Audacity or Layers, or I run it through a vocoder, whatever it is that I do using GarageBand or Cakewalk, the songs are not actually the focus. The message is carried by the vehicle of music. And so those are psalms. They're a lament or a remembrance, a cry for restoration. They're supposed to be poetic templates that are honest for Jehovah's Witnesses, Theosophists, the Greek, the Jew, the believer, the unbeliever. It's something for somebody to see the artwork, to resonate, and to say, oh, I can understand or relate to that. I could hate it, I could love it. The fact is, there are interpretive tools here to reframe the metaphors, to look at it a bit differently. And so it's not about changing your voice or my voice. It's about strategic translation to somebody who's deaf, who's never heard music. They use sign language, and it is able to convey the mind and imagination in this incredibly creative and communicative way. And so those that may feel locked into various systems, political, religious, whatever it is, I hope that you may feel the emotional truth that is being expressed in this art. And a lot of care has been put into them, into each piece. It's not a matter of pressing a button and it all comes out. It's been tailored to be a bridge, to be a performance that is tailored for those, yes, with a Jehovah's Witness background, but also different backgrounds, be it Theosophy, Hindu, Jewish, Scientologist, Freemason, and the list goes on. And so it is a voice for just transparent correspondence, engagement with the audience in a honest, candid way that I hope reclaims my voice. I actually lost it. I actually lost my vision. I couldn't even see, I couldn't even hear. I was injured. And so this was a way that facilitated a path back to some sort of recovery. I didn't expect to come back, but here I am. And so with these thoughts, I want to say thank you very much for being with me. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your various viewpoints, be it an intense hatred or an intense dislike for what is being conveyed here, or the opposite, an intense enjoyment and a way for healing. And so, whichever it is, or if it's something in between, thank you very much for being with me, and thank you for listening.